All right, UFC 324, Gaethje versus Pimblett full card recap. I'll start with the main event. We've got Pimblett losing to Gaethje, 5-round fight, pretty clear 3-2 to me. Could have been 4-1. I thought Gaethje clearly won 1, 2, and 4, and then 5 was close, but I think Pimblett pretty clearly won round 3. It was an interesting fight. I thought at the beginning it was gonna be a first round finish because it reminded me a lot of Oliveira versus Gaethje, where Oliveira was using a lot more volume and like committing to strikes more, but Gaethje had a little bit better defense than both of them. So he was, getting the better of some of the exchanges, rocking his opponent more. And then I thought Gaethje was eventually just going to get caught by a real big strike, like a knee up the middle. And that's kind of the main complaint I had about Gaethje in this fight. Even in round 1, not even like, I think both fighters regressed a lot after the first round as the fight went on. But even in round 1, he had this old defensive flaw where he would, instead of slipping his head to the inside or outside, he would, blocking whatever, he would just duck and lean towards his power side, which was very obvious in this fight if you were looking out for it, where he would just slip his head just a little bit to the right every single time he threw a punch, and every time he threw a combination. Even when he was leaving exchanges, he was doing the same thing. So Pimblett started throwing that. He started with the lead knee when he was in orthodox, like right into Gaethje's, where his face was. But then later in the fight, he started going with the knee across his body with his rear knee. It was landing pretty well, and there was a couple uppercuts that landed like that too. But a lot of the fight came down to, fouls would definitely, but I'll talk about that in a second. But a lot of what I think it came down to was Pimblett really, really bad at reacting, getting hit. I don't think he's a very chinny fighter. It's kind of a weird thing with being chinny. You've got guys like Matt Schnell, who I'm trying to think, maybe a better example. What's his name? The middleweight that got knocked out by Bruno Vajea, pretty recently. Phil Hawes. He's got a really bad chin in that if he gets hit with a significant strike, he's going to get put out cold. But you got guys like Matt Schnell, who has kind of the same thing. He's very easy to rock, but he doesn't get put out. He just gets rocked really bad, and he can recover quickly, so it's not going to be a death sentence if he gets rocked. But in that Sumo Darji fight, for example, Matt Schnell got rocked by the same elbow 5 different times, real bad, rocked, and if he got hit by a big fall-up, he would have been put out cold for sure. But in that fight, he got rocked a bunch and then came back and won it. And Pimblett kind of has a similar thing where I think there was moments where he landed very impactful, significant shots out the middle, like the uppercuts and the knees against Gaethje. And Gaethje just reacted to the shots better. He would get rocked, and I don't even think Gaethje's particularly good at reacting to shots. I don't think his body language is very good. But he would stay on his feet. He wouldn't square his stance. He wouldn't, turn around and run away like Pimblett was doing a lot. Whereas every time Pimblett got hit, for one, he hit his chin a mile in the air, which it's crazy. I feel like he's made some decent improvements in his striking game since he's joined the UFC, but zero improvement at all. Probably since he was 15 when he first started striking. His head is in the exact same spot that it's always been. He throws punches. He throws long reaching jabs, and sometimes he throws arm punches with his rear that he doesn't commit to, and his chin is a mile in the air. His hands are low. I was talking about that uppercut that was there because Gaethje kept moving to putting his head in the same spot, and Pimblett would throw a rear uppercut when he was orthodox. So his right hand, he throws an uppercut towards his left across his body, and his left hand, which is doing nothing, is still at his hips. There's literally zero reason to do that other than lack of discipline. And I'd understand it if it was in the 4th or 5th round of this fight where he's been rocked and he's tired and he's gassed and Gaethje's not throwing back as hard. But this is the first round, the first exchanges of the fight. He's throwing uppercuts and his lead hand is at the floor for no reason. He's really defensively irresponsible. And every time he got hit, he would react to it very poorly. A couple times he would turn his hips away from Gaethje and start walking away. A couple times he would turn his head away and not look and shield his head like he's getting bullied. There's a lot of times where he had really bad reactions. And I thought he had a really, clear lack of fighting IQ. It's very clear he's a very strong lightweight. He's big for the division. He hits hard. And he's a good grappler, but he's got a lot of measurables. But as far as his IQ, it's really, really bad. Like I said, the defensive irresponsibility with the the hands. Even when he's against the cage, he would square his stance where he's in a position where he cannot punch a legitimate punch. So it doesn't matter where his arms are as far as his offense, but for some reason his arms are still low. There's no benefit other than, I guess, you know, he wants to block a low blow or something. Like, it didn't make any sense. His hands were just never in the right spot. Yeah, that's how he got caught a lot, was he would get backed up against cage. Because his defense is so bad, he relied on his size, like always, as a crutch for defense. So if he thinks he's going to get punched at, he'd throw a lead body kick, use that range, try to create distance between himself and his opponent's punches. And then when they would come crashing in, he would just back up, and he'd back up, and eventually you back up enough, you hit the cage. And when you hit the cage, as a guy who does it a lot because of his style, you'd think he'd have a little bit of defensive instincts, but every time it was cover up and turn away, or it was try to parry with both my hands, or keep both my hands low for no reason, square my stance, and then do no lateral movement. So, like, if you're gonna square your stance where you put your feet, not only parallel, but at the same, distance from your center of mass, where you're standing over both of your feet at the same time. The only benefit to doing that is to move laterally, if you want to move left and right. There's no reason to do that, defensively. There's no benefit. You can't punch from there. You can't generate power or shoot a takedown or anything. There's literally no benefit of being there. You're worse for stopping takedowns. Just really, really dumb stuff, like day one stuff that Pimblett wasn't doing. And this is a title fight. And not only is this a title fight, but this is a title fight in historically the best division in the UFC. And I definitely think there's an argument for maybe bantamweight or featherweight or maybe welterweight now as being the best. But lightweight, I mean, no matter what way you slice it, the best fighters ever have been lightweights. You got guys like Islam Makhachev and Khabib and legends of the sport at this division, and this is the title fight. And I understand this context with, Topuria, relinquishing the belt, or not relinquishing the belt, taking time off. So this is an interim fight. It's not, the best guys in the division per se. And also you have Arman, who they refused to go title fight for because of, outside of fight stuff, whatever. I get that, but you're telling me Oliveira isn't better than these guys? I mean, I know Gaethje beat Fiziev, but I don't know if I'd pick him to do it again. That was a close fight, and it looks like he's regressed since then. He looked really bad in this fight. I feel like I didn't harp on enough how bad these two defensive flaws they had. I mean, Pimblett, infinite defensive flaws. Everything he does was wrong. Literally had zero defense for most of the fight. And that's I didn't get to this point, I don't think. My whole point where I'm pointing out all of these flaws of Pimblett's defense is that he landed the better punches in most of the exchanges. He landed the better strikes in most of the exchanges. And he got rocked a couple times, but it wasn't like he got rocked because, Gaethje got real slick boxing. He got rocked because his hands were at his feet. If he kept his defense down there, that would have been a clean performance from Pimblett. He might have got dropped in the first round because that was a little bit of a weird thing where he got punched in the eye and it was kind of an eye poke, and then he got called like a sneaky punch. I don't know, just a bad look for the division. I mean, it's another reason to point out the defensive flaws is when you're in a division where the top three guys that aren't you and Pimblett are Ilia Topuria, or not even to mention Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, and Arman Tsarukyan, guys who have knockout power. Maybe not Oliveira and Tsarukyan as much, but Ilia is a champion. That's the guy you're probably going to fight next. And you have such absurd, glaring defensive flaws. I don't know what on earth. I mean, Gaethje's going to fight him because he won the fight, but Gaethje's going to get knocked out in the first minute for sure. Pimblett will get knocked out probably in the first exchange. Just glaring, huge holes in their defense. Just a terrible look. So, see, is there anything I didn't mention? Yeah, these definitely are not the two best lightweights. These definitely are not, two of the top three or even two of the top four lightweights. I think Oliveira would be both of them. I want to see Oliveira Pimblett now. It's going to be hard for them to make that because I guess Pimblett's coming off of the Michael Chandler win. This is only ranked, maybe his only win over a fighter. I guess Bobby Green's still in the UFC, but definitely his only win over a ranked fighter. And Chandler probably won't be ranked by the end of the year. So I'd be surprised, they had Pimblett crawl up to the top 5 on nothing, but I'd be surprised to make that fight. And then the fouls. So, I think the fouls, even the low blow that Pimblett did, I think it only hurt Pimblett. Pimblett got eye poked in the first, and of course he was going on and on about the Gane Aspinall fight. They really should have taken a point, and then he doesn't take a point, and then Gaethje eye pokes Pimblett, rocks him, and drops him, almost finished him in the first, and then he eye pokes him later. I think in the second, was it? second or fourth, when he almost finished him again, he came right before an eye poke, or right after an eye poke. So bad look. And then the Pimblett was finally getting momentum in the third round, where it looked like this was going to be where he takes over and wins a 2, 4, and 5. I'm sorry, 3, 4, and 5. And he's doing what he should do, which is just keep pressuring Gaethje, make him make that mistake, and then punish the mistake. He just kept throwing arm punches in volume at that spot where his head was going to be. He was landing well, and then he goes for a switch knee, like a flying knee at where that spot where Gaethje's head was going to be, and he misses, and he hits Gaethje on the tip of the cup. So yeah, it stopped all the momentum, and then they had an even round for the rest of the round. Pimblett maybe a little advantage. He wins in the third, but in the fourth, all the momentum was gone. He was back to getting rocked every time they exchanged. And yeah, just a really, really bad look. So should Gaethje have had a point taken? Maybe. And that's definitely a different fight if he had got a point taken. Saying is, he said he was going to take a point, and then there were two more unpunished eye pokes. Yeah, entertaining fight. I shouldn't throw it out the window. I thought it was a good fight, but it really was really tarnished by the fact that these are definitely not the best lightweights in the world, and they looked really, really bad, especially when you consider the circumstances. The co-main event, not a ton to say. I went about how I thought it was going to go. Maybe a little bit closer on the scorecards. I thought O'Malley was going to clearly win 2 rounds. I gave him 1 and 3. 3 was clear, 2 was clear for Song. Round 1, I thought what Song Yadong did with the leg kicks, where he did some considerable damage that was going to, accrue through the rest of the fight. I thought O'Malley did better with the body kicks and the body punches. So I decided to give him that round. Yeah, the featured fight, Derek Lewis versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, was a weird fight. It was very low volume. No footwork from either of them, which I probably should have expected more of coming into this fight. But Derek Lewis, I feel like he used to be able to walk people down. And the guy that was in that octagon today, I could not see him walking towards an opponent and striking at the same time. His knees were pointing inwards. His feet were pointing inwards. He was like, plodding. Waldo Cortez Acosta probably could have thrown 100 leg kicks in a row and not gotten one checked. I get why I didn't kick. Commentators like, he really should be kicking the low kick, and he definitely should have been. But if you feel like you're the better striker and you're faster, why put yourself on one leg against a guy who, even if Derek Lewis completely missed the punch and punch Waldo Cortez Acosta in the shoulder, if he's throwing a leg kick and he's on one leg, he's getting knocked down, and people are gonna pop off, and that fight could get stopped with some of the stoppages have been in the past few months. So. But Derek Lewis looked fucking terrible. He's regressed a lot. I think he looked similar in the Teixeira fight. He just landed that big leaping left hook in that fight, but didn't land a ton here. In fact, after the first round, he was pretty gassed after doing not much, and I tweeted out he's gonna quit next time he gets hurt. And to his credit, he didn't. He got rocked pretty hard by a punch early in the second round. But later, he was finally he went to pressure Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think he went for he was trying to slip his head out of the way or something. He's doing a head movement entry, and he kind of got poked by a jab that barely landed, and it threw off his timing enough that he just fell on his butt, and then he didn't react when he fell on his butt. I'm like, oh yeah, the fight's over. He quit. He did put his legs up to try to get guard. I get he's fucking 260 pounds or something, but you're a professional fighter. You've been in the UFC for over a decade. Fucking put your legs up and get your guard. Is that too much to ask for a main event of the first pay-per-view of the year, the first pay-per-view of the era, first event of the era? I don't know. Bad look. Really bad look for the heavyweight division. I really don't think that any fighter in the UFC lost to today's Derek Lewis unless they got fluke knocked out. So literally any heavyweight in the entire, not even heavyweight, any fighter in the UFC as a man would have beat Derek Lewis tonight. I'd put money on it. He looked horrible. Horrible is giving him credit. I didn't watch the Natalia Silva Rose Namajunas fight. I heard it was robbery. Don't care. I don't like Rose Namajunas. I think she's annoying. I think her fights are boring. I think her coach situation is weird and cringe and a bad look for the sport. And I like Natalia Silva. Her fights have been somewhat entertaining before. But I made a New Year's resolution that I was not going to watch main card women's fights because they're all bad. So didn't watch it. I had to open on the second monitor. Didn't really pay attention. And Silva won, so I'm happy. Gene Silva versus Arn Allen was fight of the night for me. I think it was the best fight. I think it was better than the main event, especially if you consider the level of competition. And there was a lot of lulls in the main event too, where not a ton happened. I guess there weren't a ton, but it was a good amount. Maybe there was some here with the grappling in the third round, but Gene Silva versus Arn Allen was a great fight. Arn Allen came out looking good early. He was doing some good boxing, which was concerning for my pick. By the way, I was 9-2 on the card. Only got the main event and the Charles Johnson fight wrong. So good for me starting off 9-2. Good way to start the year. Yeah, that Gene Silva versus Arnold was a really good fight. Like I said, Arnold started off good. He was in the kind of outside boxing range where both fighters are in range to step in and take a punch, but neither of them are really, like, kind of in kicking range. Arnold was doing good stuff there. He's using the hand fight to open up punch to the body, keeping it simple, which is smart. He kept Gene Silva active, but not active enough to keep getting exchanges, and active enough where Gene Silva couldn't start to increase the pace at his own, volition. I think it was smart of Allen. Every time Gene Silva tried to like embrace during the fight, Allen said no, which I thought might trigger Gene Silva. It kind of did. He was getting mad when it was happening in the fight, but afterwards he like started crying, hugged him, said he's his favorite fighter or whatever. So that was cool, and yeah, just really interesting fight. They both made good reads during the fight too. Like I said with Arnold Allen, he was keeping things simple and to keep the pace down, making Gene Silva think the entire time, so he couldn't just start winging punches, which definitely helped him in the first. Definitely won him the first. Gene Silva only landed 2 punches in the first 2 minutes, just because Allen was keeping him busy, but not letting him just swing and bang. So good look. And then the second round, Gene Silva started to open up more, started to land more. He definitely had the bigger pop. I'm trying to remember what round was close. I don't know. One of the judges gave round 1 to Gene Silva, which was stupid because it wasn't that competitive. Yeah, round 2 and 3, a lot more exchanges. Gene Silva looked a lot better, I think. Again, was getting the better of a lot of exchanges just because he had more power. And a lot of the stuff I said was going to land did. So good look for me. His good read that he had throughout the fight was the way that Allen was standing in his stance with the kind of the high guard, head over the center of balance, like in the front, like kind of leaning forward. He knew that he could keep Allen's arms busy if he kept doing open side body kicks. So using southpaw, left-legged roundhouse kicks to the to the body, and he was also going to the head. And even though they were blocked, a lot of them were getting through just because Allen was getting ready to punch. So he kind of was not fully committed to blocking the shots, and it landed really well. So Gene Silva looked really good. Grappling, he didn't have as much of an advantage as I thought, which worries me for potential matchups with like a rematch with Diego Lopez or Monster Evelo or something like that, or even Aljo. I don't love that his grappling didn't look great, but a couple moments at the end, like at the end, he shoved all down to the ground and then jumped off him like he was a fucking mushroom in Super Mario, or what was they called, a Goomba. That was cool, and he definitely looked patient to be in the fight, and he was pretty patient throughout. He never opened up like he did against Diego Lopez, and because he was so patient in the first couple minutes, it makes me think he's like, I'm not going out there and getting chinned again. Both him and Arnold Allen threw a couple spinning elbows. They looked pretty solid. I don't think any of them landed that clean. I think both of them landed one like decent one, but they weren't like the biggest strikes. Oh, one thing for the main event I forgot to mention is Pimblett tried a couple new strikes, and oh my god, never spin again. He looks so bad. The jumping switch kicks still look goofy. They always miss by a mile, but his spinning elbows are so slow, and every time he did one, I think Gaethje ducked in on the clinch and got a dominant position from it. So definitely don't do that, Pimblett. He's gonna watch back this fight and be like, oh my god, I really threw this away. A couple bigger things on the card. Buzzer beater finishes. The first, I think 3 fights were, maybe like the first 2 and then the 4th. But yeah, Ty Miller opened up the card with a decent highlight finish with Adam Fugit. He was looking good through the first 4 minutes, and the last minute he kind of slowed down a bit, and Fugit landed a couple good punches, but he put him on a combo on him to end the round, and he got stopped. And it was a decent stoppage, but I don't know if it was perfect. Fugit didn't complain. He was definitely beat up. He got hurt a couple times, but we've seen fighters take way more damage and continue. The Josh Hokett fight versus Denzel Freeman, same thing. That was a bad stoppage. There was a couple of questionable stoppages, but that was definitely a bad one. Hokett was beating up. By the way, I think Hokett is still horrible. That fight went exactly how I thought it was going to, except Freeman got the fight stopped. But Hokett was starting to gas. He looked like shit. I really think he's one of the most overrated fighters in the UFC right now. By the way, Denzel Freeman beat Stephen Asplund and landed 0 strikes against Hokett. So if they make that fight in the future, take that in consideration. Hokett looked decent with the takedowns in the first round, but Freeman's been out-grappled before, so that wasn't a big surprise. But he really gassed out after about like a minute or two. He started breathing out of his mouth. He started plotting instead of using footwork. So bad luck for him for the future. But yeah, he hurt Denzel Freeman a couple times, and then he hurt him real bad at the end of the first round. And Freeman kind of like spun out and like, wobbled his way back to his corner because the round was almost over, and Hokit walked back to his corner and flipped off Freeman. And then Freeman kind of slumped over to like sit on the floor because he was so gassed, and the ref just stopped the fight like he just tapped. So maybe he said something like "I quit" or whatever. I don't know. I didn't see anything like that, but I don't love that stoppage. I mean, I don't really care. That fight, kind of glad for it to be over, but whatever. Krylov versus Bukauskas, another buzzer beater finish. All those fights were at 4 minutes 59 seconds. This one was in the third round, but the other two were in the first round. Krylov looked really, really bad. His footwork was horrible. Him and Bukauskas, really bad footwork. They both look like Jamal Hill and Jimmy Crute, just like very light on their feet. They looked dog shit. It was one of the lowest level fights, like a ranked light heavyweight fight, one of the lowest level ones as of late. I thought Krylov looked really bad. I thought Bukauskas looked even worse. Bukauskas, like I said, just doesn't have that like plant and throw one shot knockout punch, which is what anyone could do against Krylov. Krylov, there are a bunch of unranked. Like I think Atiba Gaethje, even though he didn't look great, would have knocked out Krylov there. He just kept coming in with his hands down, a lot like Pimblett actually. So not the worst performance of the night. And then Alex Perez. Wasn't a buzzer beater, but a little bit of a questionable stoppage. I originally thought it was bad, and then I saw that Charles Johnson was so rocked he didn't even know the fight got stopped and tried to like take down Perez as Perez was climbing the cage to celebrate. Yeah, good performance by Perez. I thought he wouldn't be able to get on the inside because he couldn't get on the inside against Almabayev and Makayev, who are smaller and have much worse footwork. But you can say the same thing about Nikolai, who was a big flyweight and had good footwork, and he got on the inside against him. So I guess Alex Perez knocks out people with good footwork and good defense, and can't do anything to people with bad defense. I guess it's the wrestling probably that makes a difference. But yeah, he looked fine. He's not that old for how long he's been in the UFC and been kind of inactive, so he could have another run. I feel like he's going to lose another close fight, and it's going to be like, okay, well, back to square one. But Charles Johnson, I mean, him losing sucks for him, but there's a lot more good fights outside the rankings for him. So like a Jose Ochoa might be interesting. And then Atiba Gaethje and Umar Nurmagomedov, pretty lackluster performances. Umar struggled to get the takedowns the first two rounds. I think he looked good in the takedown defense and bad everywhere else. There was a moment at the end of the second round where he stuffed a takedown and he really switched on and tried to push for a big shot. But that was his only attempt in the entire fight to do anything, except for I guess at the end of the third round too. He escaped from bottom and then tried to do some chaotic shit to land a punch, but no. Clean performance of Umar, pretty boring, but clean. And then Gaethje didn't look terrible. Like I think a lot of people thought if he was going to get fraud checked like this, where he had like a decently competitive fight with a not good opponent, it was going to be because he gassed out or his grappling was going to be really bad, and it was the other giant flaw in good strikers or in big punchers in the UFC is that he couldn't cut the cage off at all. Though I do think if they fought this fight like 10 times, he probably gets a knockout like 9 out of 10 times. Like he just whiffed on a couple big punches. It wasn't like Puliaev was like, Anderson Silva calculating right where the punch is going to come and slipping right outside of it. It was more like he just kind of whipped his head back and just got missed by a big punch. So not the worst performance by Gaethje, but you expect more for him being a big favorite against a not very good opponent. And if he's going to be a knockout puncher against good fighters, he's going to have to learn how to cut the cage. Like Vettori's going to survive that fight because he's just going to circle towards his power hand, away from his power hand, and not get hit. Like Atiba Gaethje would come in, throw a left hook right hand, and then after the left hook missed, Puliaev would just circle towards left hand and then lean away from the straight right, and Gaethje would throw it all the way across his body and completely whiff and look like an idiot. So if he didn't do that, if he didn't look like an idiot, he'd look like a much better fighter. I think that is all. I'm gonna go through the card real quick, see if I missed anything. No, that's every fight. So yeah, let me know what you thought of the card. Decent card. It was a good one for me because it was kind of low stakes. No fighters that I love on here. No big upsets or anything like that. Nothing I was looking for. I guess Charles Johnson is probably one of my favorite fighters in the card, and he lost in an upset. But other than that, decent card. Good fight in the main event, decent fight in the co-main. A couple funny moments on the rest of the card. and then a couple good finishes to start off. So wasn't bad. Hoping for a better card next week. A lot more, I think, a lot like higher stake fights on next week's card. Like I think more people looking forward to Lopez Volkanovski, even though it's shit matchmaking, than they were Pimblett Gaethje. As far as like, you know, legacy and where people look in the sport and like a high level fight. Whereas I think most people thought this was gonna be an entertaining quick finish. So yeah, let me know what you thought of the card. You can watch my prediction video. I did a full prediction. Like I said, I went 9-2. A bunch of fights got dropped off the card. Namely, Camus Motherman almost fucking died at the weigh-ins. But yeah, I think there is a Crush event tonight. Pretty sure there is, so I'll probably watch that. Stay up for a bit. Follow me on Twitter. I'll be live tweeting that. I live tweeted this event. I think that's all. Yeah, like the video, share the video, subscribe, go watch my prediction video, and then if you stay tuned, I'll probably have a prediction video out Thursday, Friday this week for 325. So yeah, there's that. Thank you for listening.